After I released my video about the most annoying video game song of all time, a number of people pointed out to me that there is one major oversight. That oversight is the entire soundtrack to the Resident Evil DualShock Edition. If there's one thing that Capcom is famous for, it's selling you the same game over and over and over again. And Resident Evil was no exception. Resident Evil DualShock Edition was the third version of Resident Evil, which included functionality for PlayStation's new DualShock controller. It also included a brand new soundtrack, which you are listening to right now. Listen to those fucking trumpets, man. It sounds like somebody is just mashing a keyboard at random, and it's very possible that's what actually happened. In elementary school, I had a friend who would randomly just go like this, just all day long. And he would look at you like, if that gesture had a sound effect, it would probably be that. This shit sounds like a fucking deaf guy composed it. Oh wait, a deaf guy kinda did compose it. The person who was brought on to do this soundtrack was named Mamoru I'm gonna mangle this guy's fucking name. Mamoru Samuragochi. Anyway, he was brought on to do this soundtrack. He was an up-and-coming composer who was being called Japan's Beethoven because he was famous for being a deaf composer. Despite this soundtrack being what it is, he had a lot of pieces that the Japanese people loved, and it was making him very famous. However, as it turned out, and this came out only somewhat recently, a few years ago, he actually was faking his deafness for publicity. In fact, not only was he faking his deafness, he was faking that he was writing any of this music at all. It was all written by a ghostwriter. And that includes this soundtrack which you are listening to right now. Not only does that mean that a person was paid to make this soundtrack, but the person who was paid to make this soundtrack paid another person to make this soundtrack. And that, not just the soundtrack itself, but the story behind it is what might make this the worst video game soundtrack of all time. But I'm sure that there are even worse soundtracks out there, so please, if you know of anything, leave it in the comments section. Until next time.